What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we're going to continue our coverage over the dawn of DC. Technically, the dawn of DC is no longer around because they are beginning to remove those labels off their books. Either way, we're going to cover Jay Garrick the Flash. Now, when it comes to Jay Garrick the Flash, he was the original Flash of the 1940s. He was somewhat popular, but he was replaced by Barry Allen. Now, once Barry Allen came around, unfortunately, Jay Garrick got pushed to the side. He was still there, and fans still loved him, but all their attention was on Barry Allen and even Wally West, who came way later. Now, when it came to recent years of DC Comics, DC kind of left Jay in limbo. I mean, he did appear in books here and there, but unfortunately, it was kind of like, what do we do with this character? Now, after Jeff Johns kind of gave us the new golden age, you had DC say, you know what, let's go ahead and sit down and tell some more stories of our classic heroes of the 1940s. And so a lot of the old heroes began to get miniseries. So Jay Garrick, Green Lantern, Alan Scott, and a few others. Now, when it comes to Jay Garrick, they're trying to do something new with this character, and that is the idea of giving him a child that he may had forgotten about. And so to get to the idea of how in the world did Jay forget he had a daughter, we have to jump back over to Keystone City in the year 1963, where we do pick up with Jay Garrick, but also with his daughter, Judy Garrick. Now, right off the bat, we are told that she is a Flash. Not really a Flash, her code name is Boom, but she is a speedster like the other Flashes. Now, when it comes to our two heroes, at this point in time, they are currently trying to save her mother, his wife, and her name is Joanne, who was recently kidnapped by an unknown villain. Now, when they do arrive at the location where she was taken to, we kind of find out it was a dam that's nearby Keystone City. Now, when it comes to Judy, she's kind of like a hothead. When it comes to the idea of being a hero, she always just wants to rush into things without actually thinking things through before actually going through it. And when it comes to Jay, he is trying to teach his daughter to take your time when it comes to situations like this, because he realized right off the bat that there were bombs placed around the dam, and if Judy had ran through the area, those bombs would have went off and the dam would be completely destroyed. And so you have Jay tell Judy, go ahead, save your mom, I'll take care of the bombs. Now, we do see Jay being able to handle most of the bombs. One does go off, but again, he's still able to handle that before a huge amount of damage is actually done. But here comes the problem, because right after he is able to handle those bombs, he then hears his wife scream and he runs towards her. And we kind of find out that she is okay. And so we're left to believe that Judy did save her, except when you have Jay arrive and you have Joanne ask Jay, hey, where did Judy go to? Where is our daughter? He says, what do you mean? We don't have a daughter. And then she realized they don't have a daughter. It's like just a moment ago, they both remembered, hey, we have a daughter. And in the next moment, boom, they have no child. And the question is, what happened? And so that leads us into the present day. And so as we jump to the present day, is Judy coming back to the DC timeline, where Jay and Joanne are now old, and to the point where there are so many different kinds of speedsters. Barry Allen, Wally West, Bart Allen, and the list goes on. And she's kind of like, what did I miss? Now, when it comes to Jay and Joanne, they realize that they had forgotten their child. Now, you're probably wondering what happened to her. Well, that was told to us in a storyline called Stargirl: The Lost Children, where Judy was actually kidnapped by a character known as the Child Minder, who took her out of the timeline. And so when that happened, of course, Jay Jay and Joanne forgot about her, but now with her being back in the timeline, they are beginning to remember her. But unfortunately, it's now Judy who has to get used to the idea of living in the future for her sake, because again, she was like 15 back in the year 1963, and she's still 15, but now in the year 2024 or 2023. Either way, it's all new to her. She's kind of like, this is just too much to handle. But for her parents, it's really the same thing as well. It's just too much to handle. But they're going to have to work together to actually get through this. Now, there's still one thing about Boom that will never change. The idea that she is a hero. And so while sitting in a room watching TV, watching the news basically, you have the news report about something going on in the city. And so you have Boom say, you know what? I'm still a hero and there are still people who need my help. The problem is though, she did not tell Jay nor Joanne that she was leaving. And so when Joanne goes back into the room to check on her daughter, she sees that her daughter is gone again. And she fears that her daughter had once again been pulled from the timeline. And that leads into the idea of Judy trying to be a new hero in Keystone City, because they never heard of her because she's been gone for almost 60 years. And so now she's back out of nowhere and they're like, who are you? We got another Flash here? Okay, cool, I guess. Now, at first, she does struggle, but her dad steps in because her dad realized where she went to be a hero. And so you have Jay and Judy once again work together to be some heroes in Keystone City. Except right after they're done, you can tell that Jay is very upset with Judy. And the reason why he is so upset because she just ran off. She did not tell anybody at all where she was going. And so because of that, well, you had Joanne fear the idea that her daughter was gone again. She feared the idea that she may have lost her daughter or she will forget her daughter again. And so once you had Judy realize where she had messed up, that led into one very important question. What happened to Dr. Elemental? Now, Dr. Elemental was a very important character for Jay Garrick. He actually first appeared in the very first issue of Jay Garrick being the Flash back in the 1940s. Now, like his name says, he is able to control the elements. But with that being said, we kind of find out he was the guy who kidnapped Joanne back in the year 1963. And took her to the dam. And remember, when it came to Jay, when he finally got to his wife, that was the moment they forgot their daughter. And so when it came to Jay, we kind of find out he did not just forget his daughter, he also forgot Dr. Elemental. And once she says his name, he remembers, oh yeah, that's right. When I saved my wife, you disappeared, but the only thing we found was his mask. And so we get a flashback of Judy fighting against him before she had disappeared. Moments before she had disappeared. And matter of fact, she had him right where she wanted him, where he'll be taken in and be going to jail. But unfortunately, she had to save her mother, and that gave him time to get away. Except right after she had saved her mother, that was when she disappeared, and we're left to believe so did he. But if she came back, then there is a possibility that he had also came back, which means he might try to get revenge against Jay Garrick. And the problem is, he's been gone for 50, 60 years, which means he had all that time to make sure all his plans work very well. And so as we dive into the second chapter, we get another flashback. And this takes place back in the year 1941, where we do pick up with the Justice Society currently in Germany attacking a place known as the Hidden Base. We have no idea at first who this base belongs to, but we do know that our team of heroes are only here looking for the Spear of Destiny. Now, when it comes to Jay Garrick, he's telling us that he had forgotten this entire moment. And the only reason why he had begun to remember it is because of Judy. Ever since she came back into their lives, he had begun the process of remembering different things that he had forgotten about, especially this moment right here. Now again, this took place in the year 1941, before she was even born. But the thing is, he still forgot about this. Either way, you do have our heroes working together to fight against an army of robots. As a matter of fact, the armies of robots are being led by a robotic bear known as Robear. And I don't know why I find that name so funny. Either way, you have Robear and his army of robots fighting against the Justice Society. Now, once you have our heroes being able to defeat them, you then have our heroes realize that this base belongs to some group known as the ISA. But they have no idea who that group is. They have no idea who is possibly in charge. They have no idea what in the world is going on in this actual base. But when it comes to Robear, he does say one last thing before he disappears. And he says, it's the death of you all. You are all going to die here. And then he disappears, leaving us wondering what in the world happened to Robear. And so we get back into the present day. Now, when we do, we see that Star Labs is currently running some tests on Judy to make sure that she is okay, because you were talking about the idea of someone being pulled out of the timeline and then being put right back into the timeline. You want to make sure that homegirl is okay, but also the idea that she might age up because she's now part of the timeline, but of course, she's now in the year 2023. But you do have Star Labs say, hey, listen, she is going to be okay. She is perfectly healthy, like nothing is wrong with her at all. And so Jay can now relax a tad bit. But Jay Garrick cannot relax, because even though you have Star Labs say your daughter is going to be okay, she's a healthy young girl, he still feels like he is a failure. And the reason why? Because he lost his daughter. She was pulled at a time. He had forgotten his daughter. And so for him, it's like, nah, man, there's no way I will ever be able to relax, because one, I'm a father, but two, I feel like I'm a bad father for forgetting about her. Now, when it comes to Joanne, she does try her best to calm down her husband. Now, when it comes to Judy, she's still a teenager, which means she wants to go do some teenager things like going shopping. And so she's like, hey, I'm leaving. Stargirl stopped by and said we should go to the mall because apparently I need a better outfit. So she leaves. Now, it is Joanne saying, hey, Jay, let her go. Like, you cannot be that overprotective father. She has to kind of get used to this time because it's all new to her. It's completely different. And so Judy leaves. Now, when it comes to Jay, with him being a speedster, time just moves too slow. Like, he's always going fast in his mind, his feet, his hands, everything. This time moves too slow for him, and really all flashes across the board. And so while he's waiting there for her to come home, you can tell Joanne is calm and relaxed, but Jay, he is not. He's like, okay, when will she be back home? When will I see her again? Oh my God, is she okay? I have to know. And so you have Joanne say, go to the mall, just see she's okay, but come right back here and make sure that homegirl does not see you at all. Now, he does run over there. When he does, of course, he sees that his daughter is perfectly okay, except while being there, well, out of nowhere, Robear appears. And the question is, how in the world is Robear here? Where has he been? And why in the world is he going after her? Now, you do have Jay step in, save his daughter, save Stargirl, and of course, you have Judy get very angry at her father. But right now, they can have their family argument later. They have to handle Robear, who had just suddenly returned out of thin air. And so you do have our heroes just work together, Stargirl, Boom, and also Flash, and they try to defeat Robert very quickly, but as you know, as some fight scenes go, they don't go that quick as our heroes wanted to go. So unfortunately, they do struggle, but at the end, they're able to win. Now, when they do defeat Robert, he disappeared like he did in the flashback, except before he does, he leaves another message for both Judy and Jay by saying, don't worry, sooner or later, he'll come after you and your daughter. And we have to believe that possibly he is talking about Dr. Elemental, because again, if Judy came back, he's also back, which means Robert must have some connection to him. But thing is, we have no idea what the Doctor is trying to cook up when it comes to getting revenge against our two heroes. Now, when we dive into the third chapter, we actually do pick up with the Justice Society once again back in the year 1941. Now remember, they were in Germany attacking a base that's called the Hidden Base that they had no idea who the base belonged to. Now, while they're looking around for clues, they're finding a lot of different containers, and inside those containers are just innocent people who are most likely dead. Now, out of nowhere, they are confronted by Dr. Elemental. Now, when it comes to the Doctor, he shows how powerful he truly is with his powers. And so our heroes at first believe that they should be able to actually defeat him, but of course, they actually struggle with him. Now, luckily for our heroes, somebody else does appear, and that would be Judy. But here's the problem. It's the year 1941. She should not be alive at all, or currently here at this moment. And so the question is, how in the world is she here? Now, when it comes to the idea of why she is here, we are told right off the bat that the reason why she is here because she keeps coming back from the future to the past, like your usual Flash story where a future Flash goes back in time to meet a past Flash, or possibly a past Flash goes in the future. Just good old time travel. Either way, Jay knows about her, and he tells us and also his team that he had told Judy, you cannot keep coming back to the past, because if you do change the past, you can change the future as well. And they have no idea what kind of future they could create if she keeps coming to the past. Either way, when it comes to Judy, she is able to help out the Justice Society take down Dr. Elemental. And the reason why, because his armor suit got damaged. That gives him the ability to control the elements. Now, he does try to escape, but at the same time, he's also trying to blow up the place, his hidden base. Now, he is able to get away, but our heroes are also able to get out of the building before it blows up. But it kind of shows that even back then, when it came to Jay and Judy, they were already a team. And even though she was from the future, he still loved her a lot. He wanted to be there for his future daughter. And so getting back over to the present day, we do pick up with Jay telling us once again that he's now remembering a lot of different things that most likely he should not have forgotten. And he wondered why now he's beginning to remember those things. And that is when you have Mr. Terrific step in. Now, when it comes to Mr. Terrific, he is known as like one of the smartest people on the earth. Probably the smartest person on the earth. And so when he steps in, he says, no, it makes perfect sense that you are now beginning to remember a lot of different things because now Judy is back in your life. You have to realize that she was there for a lot of different moments in your life, which means that as soon as she had disappeared, you had forgotten all those different moments, or you do remember those moments, but they play out differently in your head because she was no longer part of those moments. But now with her being back in the timeline, those memories are now being altered back to their original state. And so you should be able to remember everything from your past correctly. Now here's the thing, because when it comes to Jay, he wants to remember who is Dr. Elemental. And remember, as soon as Judy had disappeared, he also forgot about the doctor. And that is something that he should not have forgotten about at all, because the doctor does play a close role when it comes to the origin of Jay Garrick. And so for Jay, he's like, I don't get it. How in the world do I remember who is or who was Dr. Elemental? Now, when it comes to Mr. Terrific, what he says is that when it came to the doctor, he also must have realized that when Judy had disappeared, vJay and other heroes most likely forgotten about him, which means that he had all this time to make sure that his next plan will work out very well, because now you are no longer coming after him or the other heroes as well, because you guys had completely forgotten about him. Now, what he's also saying is that when it came to our hero and other heroes fighting against Dr. Elemental, every single time they did, Boom was there. Judy was there. And so when she disappeared, they also forgot those moments. And so the doctor used that as a way to just, hey, I'm gonna stay hidden, and when I'm ready, that is when I will attack. Now, when it comes to Mr. Terrific, he does have an idea to help Jay remember who was Dr. Elemental by taking him over to see the two smartest boys in the world, and that would be Fairplay and Quiz Kid. Now, when it comes to Fairplay, he is actually Mr. Terrific's son, and Fairplay, like I said, is one of the smartest boys in the world, and so is Quiz Kid as well, a close friend of Fairplay. Either way, these two boys had created a new device that has the ability to read your mind, to kind of go over your memories, and once it does that, it will take what you remembered and turn it into a projection movie so that other people can see what you remember. And so they want to use that on Judy so that they can take everything she remembers about Dr. Elemental and show Jay Garrick who he was. And so to kind of end the video on a cliffhanger, once they are able to use the device on Judy and begin to show all these different kinds of projections of Dr. Elemental, once they are able to see him with his mask on, well, that is when Jay fully remembers who the doctor truly was. And that was Professor Huge. And the question is right now, what kind of connection did the professor had with Jay Garrick? Unfortunately, that right there will be revealed to us in our next video. And so with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.